Hey, what's going on, everybody? Paul from hashtag sports. Listen, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of talk about what Buffalo can do regarding the running back position now that Carolina has fired their head coach, Matt Rule. What does that look like? And, sort of how does that play out for Buffalo in the long run? Well, let's talk about it, I guess, right? It is a pretty popular conversation out there that Buffalo should be in the running back market, specifically for Christian McCaffrey. Of course, we are hot off the heels of everybody realizing that trading for Saquon Barkley is certainly not a possibility when they've got when they're 4-1 in New York. Just gonna be honest, shocking to me. But listen, uh I I am simply going to state that trading for Christian McCaffrey on paper isn't really all that big a deal. And I know that news might be kind of shocking to hear from somebody, right? But I think Carolina's in a position where they have to make a decision as to where exactly they are. They're nowhere close on quarterback, and they've pulled plenty of strings to try and get one there. They've had multiple quarterbacks. They've gone through Bridgewater, Darnold, and now Mayfield in 2 years, basically. Yeah, be lightning, Paul. You're muted again. That's cute. That's cute. I know I'm not muted. Can't fool me. Can't fool me this time. Listen, trading for Christian McCaffrey is actually a possibility because as far as the organization of Carolina is concerned, they are going nowhere fast. And I mean nowhere anytime fast. So I think you have to look at the possibility that Christian McCaffrey is available. And Buffalo it's been confirmed through, at this point, dozens of reliable sources that Buffalo's called Carolina. And why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you call Carolina? You got a dynamic player like Christian McCaffrey. Why wouldn't you at least look at it? And I mean, this would, I think, stop the Odell Beckham conversation, right? I mean, but here's the thing. Well, they're different conversations, right? Because Odell's a free agent and Christian McCaffrey you'd have to trade for. Carolina's going to accept nothing but a first-round pick because, truthfully speaking, Christian McCaffrey is a 26-year-old running back with a contract for the next 4 seasons, right? This season and 3 seasons after. And as bad as Carolina is and as poor a position as they are in, they're easier to hire a head coach when you've already got Christian McCaffrey. I think that's the simple math, right? Simple math tells you that you're a better team with him than without him. He's just a dynamic weapon. Now, mind you, Buffalo really has a large-scale committee between Cook, Singletary, and Moss. Those carries are divided up, leaning most towards Singletary, but Singletary's in a contract year, right? You've got Moss for the season after that, and you just drafted James Cook. So you have a hierarchy as far as scalable contracts in your running back room. So what does Christian McCaffrey do for that? Well, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you can't trade for Christian McCaffrey. You can't afford him. That is totally wrong. If somebody says you can't afford Christian McCaffrey, they're completely wrong. And I think Apex, first off, what's going on, Mike? So I think Apex brings up a good point here, and I think we should call it out. The running backs we have aren't the issue. But the offensive line in Carolina is no worse than the one in Buffalo. Right? The dynamics aren't all that different. And truthfully speaking, Buffalo offers Christian McCaffrey something that Carolina can't. Limited touches. You're going to talk about, giving Christian McCaffrey 15 total touches a game. That's a super high ceiling. Right now, Singletary is nowhere close to that because you got that large scale committee going on in Buffalo. So maybe you're looking at Christian McCaffrey for 11 touches a game. And again, to get to the salary piece, what do you do? Well, you can very much afford him. Greg Thompson put out a tweet. I disagree with his math a little bit, but essentially you would get Christian McCaffrey on your roster for about $700,000 this season. And that's it. That's all it would cost you. $700,000 from a salary cap perspective. That's it. Now, mind you, Buffalo has absolutely no room. They got $2.1 million in salary cap space. So even though it's only $700,000 or right around there, that's still a large chunk of the space that you have left. So what, again, you're in a scenario of what do you do? Does Christian McCaffrey make you a better team? I don't think that's debatable. Yes, he does. Is he worth the risk? Carolina is going to continue to look for draft picks, right? Because they don't have a lot. Actually, let me pull that up real quick, because Carolina, unfortunately, has in their search for quarterbacks has kicked the proverbial can down the road. I'll pull up what their draft picks are for 2023. Their 2023 draft picks are, they have a first round. Oh, sorry, that was future draft picks. So they have their own 2020 upcoming draft picks. Here we go. In 2023, they have a first, a second, a fourth, a fifth, and a seventh. Okay. Now, they're going to expect a lot for Christian McCaffrey. And the truth is, they can ask for a lot. It's a player they don't necessarily have to trade. He's only 26 years old, which I know seems unrealistic because he's been in the league for what feels like forever, pretty much on injured reserve. But, at 26 years old and basically free, it's an interesting conversation. Now, to walk through what this actually means, and we're just going to take a look at overthecap.com, because when we talk about financials, I think this is really important to get to, right? So overthecap.com, thank you so much. Prefer them over Spot Track. Fight me if you want to. We're looking at Christian McCaffrey right here. Now, mind you, it says his base salary is 1.035, but again, when you trade for Christian McCaffrey, Buffalo's only going to be responsible for the back end of that salary, so what's remaining. Any bonuses Carolina has to take care of. And you'll notice that he's got $7.5 million per season up until that final season. Now, here's what's so interesting about this, right? Carolina trades him, right? They don't clear any salary cap space. They really just clear the salary that they don't have to pay, that Buffalo's going to have to pay. Next year, it's going to be $18 million against their salary cap in dead money. But the truth is, that's actually saving them about $1 million in total space. So this isn't a bad move for Carolina. If they want to get out of this deal, they can, and they can do it with about what he would have normally cost you anyway. Now, if you're Buffalo, you're obviously probably have to trade a first round pick here, right? Probably have to trade a player too, because you're going to need the roster space. So you're probably looking at Zach Moss becomes completely expendable. Devin Singletary's in a contract year, so Carolina really would have no need for him. But Zach Moss kind of fits a little bit more of, is probably. I wouldn't be shocked to see Zach Moss included in a deal. Let me put it in that way. But if you're Buffalo and you trade for Christian McCaffrey, you're convinced you're trading the draft pick that the Super Bowl champion gets. Right. You don't make this deal unless you're convinced this trade gets you a Super Bowl win. And it'd be hard to argue that Christian McCaffrey doesn't get you closer to that because he's a more dynamic weapon. But again, the injury history is something that is, of course, a big problem. And you're going to say, well, Paul, why would you want to trade for a contract like that? Here's the part of this that I want to make sure that we really call out. When you trade for a player, all that prorated bonus money, the team that traded him has to take care of that. Buffalo isn't responsible for any of that, right? So it is very, very conceivable. Buffalo could trade for Christian McCaffrey, play him for the rest of this season, and then cut him with zero salary cap implications for the remainder of that contract. So Buffalo could trade for him and then be done. They could cut him this upcoming offseason, and there would be zero salary cap implications. And the reason that is because there's no guaranteed salary. And that's what's so fascinating to me about how Carolina was able to work this deal. They got out of this with giving him no guaranteed salary, which made this deal very, 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 very tradable, because another team is going to look at that and say, wait, hold on. Christian McCaffrey for no liability? That's why when I say Carolina is going to get a first round pick for him, I agree that they're going to get a first round pick because they have all the leverage. They've got a contract that's going to cost you $1 million, maybe, right? In total compensation. It's a contract you can get out of this offseason. If you don't want Christian McCaffrey on your team anymore, you don't have to have him. His salary cap number would be $12 million next year, right? That would be a salary cap number. If you don't want to pay that, you just cut him. You're zero salary cap implications. So when I talk about this, Yeah, so Spin asks, if the prorated bonus is signing bonus, I could be wrong. Yeah, the prorated bonus that's showing here, that is signing bonus money, right? Well, and reworked money, right? Because they restructured contracts over the course of time. So that is a combination of restructured money and salary cap money. But again, Carolina's going to have to take 18 mil on the salary cap next season if they trade him today. So what do you do, right? If you're Buffalo, the Super Bowl winning draft pick, right? Buffalo loves to acquire picks, but I think you're at a point where you need to push chips into the middle of the table. And when you have an opportunity to make your team better, you're almost foolish to not do it. And at something that you can afford, adding an all-star to the running back room, it makes your team better. Would I do it? I don't know. That 32nd pick is not far from the AJ Epinesa pick, right? In my mind. When you get to those back half of those those first round picks, the Bills aren't drafting a first round player. I understand that it's a first round pick, but you have to understand the dynamics of an NFL room is they think that normally between 18 to 20 players at max are first round talents. So when you get down to pick 30, 31, 32, odds are Buffalo has no more identified first round players. So that's why you see a lot of those back end first round picks get moved or traded. And Buffalo is in a position to be able to leverage that to their advantage. Would I trade a first round pick and Zach Moss for Christian McCaffrey? Probably. Yeah, probably. And would I be thrilled with Christian McCaffrey for 12 touches a game? Yep, sure would be. Who beats you? Who beats you? The offensive line in Buffalo is not great. So let's just call that out real quick. The offensive line in Buffalo is certainly not one to write home about. Josh is gaining time. Like that long touchdown throw to Gabe Davis was a quarter of a second away from total disaster. Everybody on that play was covered. Josh's vision got him that ball to Gabe Davis in a window that wasn't open yet. And he took a hit a quarter of a second after he released the ball. That offensive line is not great. It's no worse than what Christian McCaffrey's coming from. And of course, I completely understand everybody's concern about the injury. But you're talking about a Pro Bowl level player at a position that I still think is of need for your first round pick and Zach Moss. And the reason I say Zach Moss is because you're likely going to have to cut a running back to make room for him anyway. At this point, Carolina would probably just take him. He's still got a couple years left on his deal. There's no reason not to, right? Why cut him? You could just trade him, right? I feel like you do it, man. Like, and I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, this player's available. You should go, Buffalo should make a trade for him. I really don't prescribe to that logic. But Serenity now brings up a good point. Let me put it up on screen. What makes trades work today is we have Allen now. We can miss on picks and it won't destroy us. It is one of those scenarios where Buffalo is probably a little bit more apt to be able to miss than other teams. If the last 2 weeks have shown you nothing, it's that this team is pretty deep, right? And this team is able to identify value talent that can contribute when asked. So I think those first round picks, while valuable to a lot of organizations, I don't find it's as valuable to Buffalo this upcoming season. When you're talking about you need to have that one X factor to put on the field to make you a Super Bowl champion. I mean, here's the thing. Martin asked, do we know if this is being considered at one Bills drive? The Buffalo, again, confirmed reports Buffalo has called about Christian McCaffrey and his availability. Carolina has no reason to trade him, besides the fact that their organization is completely on fire. They have an interim head coach, and they've got an injury-riddled running back who is their sole source of offense. This is not something that works for Christian McCaffrey, but unfortunately, he probably knows getting traded doesn't necessarily work either. because he gets traded, he loses all leverage, and that means he could be cut for no salary cap implications at any time. So why would Christian McCaffrey want to get traded? You would want to get traded to the team that's going to win the Super Bowl, because now you hit the free agency market as a Super Bowl winning running back who was able to stay healthy through the stretch run, and he's able to get this contract again from another organization, even at 27 years old. Again, I'm never a proponent of, the reactionary, oh, this guy's available, Buffalo should definitely trade for him. I think Christian McCaffrey falls in a different category. And when you look at a player like, I'll give you an example, Von Miller. Von Miller came to Buffalo because he knew his snap share was not going to be 95%. He was going to look at a 65% snap share, and that's going to extend his career. Buffalo offers the exact same thing to another running back. And there's no argument in the world that you could tell me that Devin Singletary is a better running back in this system than Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is so good that he's going to transcend the system. Now, the question is he going to be able to contribute right away? Probably not, right? This is probably not. Josh Allen makes the Bills dangerous on offense. Josh Allen needs a little bit more help. Christian McCaffrey can give you that help. And again, if it's for a first-round draft pick and a rostered player, I'm sure, right? Sure. It's at that point where you just say, why not, right? Why not? It's an option. It's basically free in the world of NFL football. You're going to lose a couple draft picks for it. You're going to lose a rostered player for it. And Carolina might not really even be interested. It will probably be easier to find a reasonable head coach option with Christian McCaffrey on your roster than off. Or you could say and hire your new head coach and say, listen, we've got a couple first round picks in 2023. So, we're good to move on, right? He is injury prone. Absolutely. You got to understand that. But remember, he's playing a lot of snaps in Carolina. And in Buffalo, I don't think, even if Buffalo were to trade for him, that he's out there 75% of snaps. This team has often proven that they've gone with a committee approach. Even with Christian McCaffrey on the team, you'd likely see that for a while. And I mean, at some point, you have to say, why not? This is a destination for players now. Buffalo is a destination. And you can really look at these scenarios and say, yeah, why not? It could work. The Christian McCaffrey trade can work. Signing OBJ, different circumstance. Bills have no cap space. They're going to have to restructure somebody to make room for OBJ. Different conversation. But this is one where you say, you need to do nothing, and you could get Christian McCaffrey if he's available. And if the asking price is a first-round pick and a rostered player, then you do it. If the asking price is a second-round pick and a fifth-round pick, you do it. Because there's, at that point, no reason not to. There's no compelling reason not to do it. This team does great in spaces where they need to find value in players. They've proven themselves there. You get Christian McCaffrey and OBJ will play for veteran minimum. I can't guarantee that. I'm just making that up. But, I mean, that's the dynamic, right? Maybe that's what happens. And he's free to cut, guys. He's free to cut. You have all the leverage if you're Buffalo when he gets here. Carolina has all the leverage right now because they've got a player they don't need to trade with guaranteed money that doesn't exist in his contract, and they're going to end up taking it on the chin for the salary cap hit. Oh, well. He's going to be cheaper off your team than on it next season. Oh, well. Right? These are the risks you take. And for Buffalo, there's not a long-term commitment here. You can get out of it whenever you want. Hey, that's okay. You take the good with the bad. And is his injury history so scary that you don't want to have him on your team? Maybe, right? But if we're talking about Christian McCaffrey with 45% snap share, Christian McCaffrey will be healthy. Christian McCaffrey, 8 touches a game. Christian McCaffrey will be healthy. Listen, this is your time to go win a Super Bowl. And I don't see any way that you don't try. And this to me, calling is the right thing. Executing, I don't know what the asking price is, but you want to push your chips in the table, this is your opportunity if you're Buffalo. I wouldn't go crazy. This is not a multiple first-round pick scenario. But if you can get out of it at a first, a second, and a rostered player for under $1 million, go do it. You go do it. Go do it. All right, guys. Paul from Hashtag. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth? And right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!